If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 2, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here, downtown Las Vegas at Circus Sports. He's our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Great conversations in hour number 1. Matt Euman's kind enough to join us here as he does each and every Tuesday. Talks a little golf. That with Matt out there, he's already got a couple rounds under his belt to begin the year. He's got a nice tweet there from Bill Hooker, and he said to me and you, Jensen, that as far as he's concerned, par is 80. It's all in the perspective, right, of life. Your number is different than Scotty Scheffler's number, right?
This reminds me of Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen. Golf clap? Golf clap.
Golf clap.
Yes. Yes.
Totally agree. That's our par, Bill. We're with you. Par is 80. Let's get to it. Hour number 2. It's time for our highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
This is definitely a headline if you're in the city of brotherly shove and you've got the tush push, and Nick Sirianni's kind of the father of that. He's gotten to the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls in his short tenure there. And now he's got a new contract, multi-year extension to keep Sirianni in Philadelphia. And remember last year they got off to that 2-2 start to begin the year. A lot of fans wanted him fired. Here we are, and it's not even 12 months later, and you see the difference that it's made now as a Super Bowl champion. And again, almost a 2-time Super Bowl champion. To me, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Jensen, this is so well-deserved. Like, I'm one of those merit-based guys that if you've earned it, then give it to him. I thought this was, in full transparency, I remember his press conference like it was yesterday, and I thought this is going to be a disaster in Philadelphia. This guy's way in over his skis. This is not going to work out. And boy, was I wrong. So, to me, I look at Sirianni now, and I completely changed my tune on him. And, Jensen, part of the reason why for that is he's gone through multiple coordinators, and he brought in Kellen Moore, who's kind of a failed coordinator to a degree at the end of his Dallas tenure, and then with the Chargers, and then you saw the offense and the way they resurrected it. I know Vic Fangio. That's his hire, right? That's also Howie Roseman, too. But I think this is so well-deserved to keep him here. Don't you have, when you win, don't we have to say to the men and women in sports, you've earned this contract. If there's anybody that's earned it to me, it's Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia.
And usually on the player side, when you get these multi-year mega deals, you're paying for the past performance, what you've earned. It is given you the right to be compensated that way. Now, whether you live up to it for the remainder of that new contract remains to be seen. Let's put this in coaching terms. This is a free year for Philadelphia because you've won a Super Bowl, and you won it convincingly, ending a dynasty, or at least putting a potential stop to it in Kansas City. What do you do for an encore? Like, what, after signing this extension, Dave, in your mind, if you're an objective Eagles fan and take your Cowboys fandom out of this, what's a good season for the Philadelphia Eagles as defending Super Bowl champions?
Breaking the curse of back-to-back winners in the NFC, which we have not seen in over 2 decades, which is one of the more bizarre stats in all of football, that there's not been a repeat champion in over 2 decades in the NFC East. So I know Nick Sirianni's not concerned about that history, but to me, to be able to break that, I think would say something that they got more staying power. And you're right, though. If they start off 2-2, I hope, like the problems I had with Sirianni, don't go talking to the fans. Like, don't go talking. Like, you don't need that. You're above it now. You've been to 2 Super Bowls. You're a Super Bowl champion head coach. Andy Reid, when he finally won, because they ran him out of town in Philadelphia. Let's make no mistake about that. When he finally won in KC, he became a made man. So I think Nick Sirianni is now a made man. But boy, if they go 2-4, are they going to be calling for Sirianni's head in Philadelphia? You betcha. Because that's Philadelphia. Like, the contract won't mean anything to them. But to me, I think he's earned it. Now it's like, if things go south in South Philly, pun intended, does Sirianni now, is he now like above it? Does he rise above it? Like, everybody cool your jets. We were 2-2 last year. We righted the ship. I hope that's the new experienced championship medal Sirianni to say, been there, done that. Because I do think winning in this league at that level should matter and give you a longer stay of execution if things go south.
Okay, so and again, just we're talking it out here, and we like to put our Circa Survivor hat on here. Even a 7-point spread division rival opening night, that's a tough spot for me to back the Eagles. And the only reason that I'd consider that is what's upcoming, at least in the first half of their schedule. So then they go to Kansas City for the Super Bowl rematch, home against the Rams, at the Bucks, always tough to go win there, home against Denver. Maybe that's your first opportunity to look at it, because I would entertain that the next 3 weeks are quite intriguing. Going to the Meadowlands to take on the Giants, division rival, going to Minnesota, then you're home against the Giants. Maybe that home game against the Giants is the spot, because after their bye, at Green Bay, home against Detroit, at Dallas, home against Chicago, at the Chargers, then the only other spot would be home against the Raiders in week 15. That's a gauntlet.
It's a really tough schedule. And again, something I talked about yesterday with Jeff Schwartz on GM Shuffle, shameless plug, that they do have one of the toughest schedules out there, Philadelphia. So that 11.5, and that's juiced evenly at minus $1.10. I'd want no part of that. Do you want to? Right. They're odds on to win the division. Do you want to lay money on the Eagles? I get it that maybe people look at the Commanders as the only real threat in that division. Not so fast, my friend, in Lee Corso's immortal words. I do think Dallas might have a little bit something to say. That game one will go a long way. But what's so beautiful about Philadelphia is if they lose on September 4th to the Cowboys on Thursday night, they're going to say that Jalen Hurts is terrible and Nick Sirianni needs to be fired. That's what they're going to do. That's what the Philly faithful do. It's never good enough in that city for them. So I'm rooting for that. I want chaos to be there, but I am happy for Sirianni because I like to see when people have earned it that they get their due, and I think he's gotten that in Philadelphia. You mentioned it with athletes getting it maybe on the back end. Maybe that's the case in San Francisco because Fred Warner is now the highest paid linebacker in the history of the NFL. 3 years, $63 million extension with San Francisco. Where's all this money coming from all of a sudden from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan in the front office, just paying Niners left and right? But I guess if you want identity, Jensen, sometimes you have to, quote unquote, overpay for your guys. I feel like they've done that in the last couple of days in San Francisco, but you're not going to get me to say that Fred Warner doesn't deserve 3 years, $63 million extension.
Well, leadership, number one.
Yeah.
And I think we can agree. We hear a lot of stories about locker rooms that love their quarterback, right? We hear this a lot in Buffalo. We hear it a lot in Baltimore. You look at any place that has a star quarterback that, you have a successful team, then that's usually the case. Brock Purdy's probably the guy that is not the flashiest, but what do you hear all the time? His teammates love him. Same thing about Fred Warner. He's a leader. He goes out there and executes when he needs to. Everyone looks to him when you need to make adjustments on the fly. And George Kittle, the consistency, yes, there's been spurts. But hey, when you look at where the Niners are, and that's why I kind of wanted to pull up the NFC. So if you look at where, let's just say the Eagles to make the postseason and the Niners to make the postseason, it's minus $1.15 at DraftKings. You parlay both those teams together. Not all the realm of possibility, right? It's more of where is the health of the Niners when we get halfway through the season, and if they suffer the same attrition they did last year, same thing I told you yesterday, is Brock Purdy at $50 million plus a year, the guy that can single-handedly win you the games when you need him most.
5 years, $265. That was Brock yesterday. You get Warner now, 3 years, $63 million. This comes from Adam Schefter. This is in the last month. Kittle, 4 years, $76.4 milli. Remember, Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft. Warner was the third-round pick. Kittle, fifth-round pick. So my favorite odd couple on the network right now is JVT and Stormy. And I heard them kind of going back and forth on, they blew it with Trey Lance, but so they get it right with Purdy. But I guess you could also make the case they got it right with Warner in the third round, Kittle in the fifth round. Like, you're going to miss some picks if you're John Lynch. And yes, they missed big time on Trey Lance. Everybody sees it, right? Cowboys missed on him too by trading for him and giving back draft capital they didn't have to waste on Trey Lance. But overall, would you say if you're San Francisco and a Stormy Bonatoni fan, she loves her Niners, that overall they're still getting it right?
They're getting it right because of the head coach. They're getting it right because put Liam Cohen in there. Put, Mike McDaniel in there. Like,
does it work?
I don't know. I don't know if it works there. I think this is very much the head coach is as meaningful and valuable as the quarterback.
And I guess all I would say is you can bang the drum if you want to against Lynch and Shanahan, because Shanahan's got to be part of that Trey Lance conversation. That's not independent of Kyle, right?
Yes.
That's Kyle also signing off of that move. So you can bang the drum on that. But to be fair, then you have to give them their flowers for the Purdys, for the Kittles, for the Fred Warners, because they've nailed those later round picks, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. I think at some point, I know coaches, you know this, once you get there, they don't care where you're drafted anymore. Can you play? Can you play?
Exactly.
And they got guys now that can play. We know that the horses can run. You want to bet on them? You can do so. Check out First Bet if you haven't done so. It's going to let you wager on hundreds of horse races every single day from top tracks across the U.S. and, dare I say, the world. So sign up at firstbet.com. That's the number one, stbet.com. Use the promo code VSiN200. Claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days, up to $200. So head over to firstbet.com and do so today. Let's keep it going. It's Tuesday. That means Torpedo Bat Tuesday is next here on VSiN By The Books.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books, here on this Tuesday. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis, going to have Paul Caponigri join us in the next segment, break down all the things happening on the ice as we get to the Final Four in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But you've been on fire. Let's keep it going here with the non-controversy that is the Torpedo Bats, with our edition of Torpedo Bat Tuesday today. And did you go a little Metallica to begin the program today?
Yes. And we adjusted it slightly for whom the Bellinger tolls. So we'll target the series opener between the Rangers and the Yankees tonight. Usually in years past, Patrick Corbin Day has been an auto bet of a team total over, or some of the big sluggers going after him. He's been pretty good so far in his return to the big leagues this year with the Rangers. Now, there still have been some guys that have seen him quite well. And now that we get this matchup at Yankee Stadium, I'll take advantage of a couple of guys. So Cody Bellinger, 391, a double, 5 walks. He's actually had a pretty good eye against Patrick Corbin throughout his career. But DJ LeMahieu, who coming back off of injury, is actually off to a pretty quick start in his first 3 to 4 games. Great career numbers here against Patrick Corbin. Almost 380 average, 3 triples, 6 bombs. Okay, I'm sold. Let's do 2 or more hits, runs, RBI for Cody Bellinger, and let's go 2 or more total bases for DJ LeMahieu.
It's one of my favorite Metallica songs. Freshman year college at VCU, and there's a little band called The Cult that's going to be opening up for Metallica at the mosque very close to where my dorm was. And I didn't go to the show because I wanted to study. What a nerd. What a complete nerd I was,
nerd
Jensen.
alert.
Right? Go to the concert. I missed Metallica in the cult at the mosque. Let's keep it going here. Torpedo Bat Tuesday. And those Reds and Pirates today, what do you make of the Redlegs there in the Steel City?
Right back to it. Some late runs, making it a no-doubt win for them yesterday evening at the Big Pirate Ship. So no falter of their own, and that is going up against Bailey Falter for the Pirates. I feel like I'm very dad jokey here with some of these titles.
I love it.
So again, we had Spencer Steer yesterday, 2 or more total bases, 2 more hits, runs, RBI. He did have a hit, had an opportunity for an RBI after a Gavin Lux double, could not get it across the line. But we run him right back out there because he's hitting 500 for his career against Bailey Falter. Tyler Stevenson also has had great numbers, including a pair of home runs. So let's not overthink this one, Dave. 2 or more total bases for Tyler Stevenson at plus $1.15. And Spencer Steer will get a nice price. 2 or more total bases plus $1.40.
Let me ask you a couple questions because you know I've texted you through the last month and a half of the baseball season. When it comes to this Reds lineup, I kind of like what Francona's starting to do here. And we talked a little bit about Matt McClain. They had to move him down. He's now down in the 9 hole. Will Benson coming in there. It feels like he's giving them a little bit of a lift. You got Stevenson, the talented catcher, who's hitting 8th. He has not been hitting so far. But, you know, with Steer down at that lineup there towards the end, Lux they're starting to generate some offense here. Do you like the way he's moved McClain down? Is it making that difference? Because I feel like right now this might be the best version of this Reds lineup.
By necessity, right? Because of the slow start for Matt McClain off the injury. And again, Will Benson, you mentioned, National League position player of the week. And just a torrid week at 5 bombs last week, double-digit RBI. Knowing that you have the length of that lineup, and I think I told you the thing that I would hang my hat on at the beginning of the season is when the weather gets warmer at Great American Launching Pad, if this lineup is lengthened out and is actually hitting their stride, they can hang with anybody. I mean, they can hang crooked numbers with the best of them because how the ball travels. The key has been Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes has been absolutely phenomenal for them and Ellie De La Cruz. So back-to-back, the middle of the lineup has really not lost anything. You traditionally see Stevenson and or Steer in that middle portion. They haven't gotten there just yet, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You get Stevenson going, the power that he has. Steer is kind of under the radar at the moment. They could be in great shape here in the next couple of weeks.
All I'm saying is you get Hunter Green back soon. The month of May is not over. Hit our stride here, Jensen. Our plus 68.50 ticket might not be dead yet. I know it's only 9 wins so far in the month. Let's keep it going. Giants against the Royals. Royals got a nice win last night there in the Bay. What do you see today?
All right, so this is an intriguing matchup all the way around. So my headline here is boilerplate because, again, we target guys the last couple of weeks as far as hitters go that have really swung the bat well. Now, parlay that with historical context. Michael Lorenzen gets the start for the Kansas City Royals tonight in the Bay Area and also finding ways to exploit. He's actually been pretty good, but finding ways to exploit him, I'll take that. So Wilmer Flores, 3 homers in his 7 career hits against Lorenzen and 14 at-bats. Elliot Ramos is hitting over 400 for the last 2 weeks. Again, not going to overthink this one, Dave. Go where the offense is going well, and particular guys have great history against those opposing starting pitchers. So Flores, 2 more hits, runs, RBI. We're getting that at minus $1.15 on DraftKings, and also Elliot Ramos plus money, plus $1.10 for 2 more total bases. You could see some extra base hits tonight. I get it. Bay Area, those are contextual things for the ball not traveling as much, but very spacious outfield here, and I think both those guys' chances for extra base hits. Yeah,
Lorenzen's one of those guys in that rotation. He's been good, but I'm always like, ooh, when's that smoke and mirrors potentially going to fall by the wayside? I want to ask you about their win last night, Kansas City there in San Francisco. I ended up playing it late on the card and woke up and was happy to see that 3-1 win. And it was back in Bubic here, and he looked really good. I believe carried that no-no into the 7th, and it got overturned on a scoring. They switched it and took away the no-hitter and gave a hit instead of an error. What do you make of this pitching staff of the Royals? Because if Lorenzen, that I think we kind of identify, I don't want to say the weak link, because for where he is in the rotation, he's been really good. But it does feel like they've got really top-end starting pitching there in Kansas City. But the bats, like we're talking about the Reds, kind of their parallel in the National League to me. The Reds look like you've got signs of hope that offense will click. Can you see signs for that for Kansas City? Because it's hard-pressed for me to go, man, this is a lineup I trust to score 5-6 runs. That's not happening on a night-in, night-out basis.
And they have yet to really get going. Dead last in homers right now, and 27th in runs scored. Their saving grace, you mentioned, is the pitching. And now they're going to have to weather the storm here with a strained groin to Cole Reagans last week. Bubic, statistically, though, has been their best starting pitcher, even when Reagans was healthy. So they're going to lean on him. Again, first rounder from back in 2018. They drafted a boatload of starting pitchers out of college in the pandemic year and a couple of years prior. Starting to see some of the fruits of that labor, but also the veterans. Michael Wacha they brought back as a free agent. Lorenzen has been phenomenal. So, yeah, they've pieced it together from an offensive standpoint, but their rotation, the biggest reason why, in my mind, that they are where they are right now.
And again, you go back to some of us here, 2015, and you go, how in the world did small market Kansas City win the World Series by beating big market New York? They did. Back in those days, Jensen, they'd push some chips in there when they feel like they're close. Do they still have that same mentality in your estimation, that if they keep hanging around by the trade deadline, that maybe they go get a bat like they did way back in the day with a Low Kane?
Yeah, and I mean, J.J. Piccolo is not going to be denied whatsoever with the youth and trying to maximize these great years that he's got with Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino. You think about the bottom of the lineup. That's really where they need to address it. You talked about an extra bat to potentially lengthen that out. We'll probably start hearing in the next 3 to 4 weeks as we could get closer to the middle to end of June. Those conversations heat up about trade deadline acquisitions, what guys may be available. So, yeah, the Royals, they continue this way. Again, 4.5 back of Detroit. Detroit has just been phenomenal and tipped their cap. But the Royals hanging right with them, even with the offense the way they are right now. Great, I would say a great buy spot anywhere you want. Division for the pennant. They feel like a team that has yet to really click on all cylinders.
Small market teams can't win the World Series. They won it in 2015. Mets haven't won it since 1986. Go figure. Before the lines do move, check out Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com. It's already there for you. They don't chase the market. They're going to help move that market, so you're not going to have to be out-muscled by billion-dollar sportsbook or full-time professional bettors on your own. With Sharp Plays, you don't have to worry about that stuff. They've got cutting-edge AI, trusted insider sources. The Sharp Play is going to deliver the edge that serious bettors rely on. You're going to get free betting reports, real-time alerts, market-moving insights, all delivered right to you via email and or X. And this isn't some overnight startup. They've been around since 2011. Receipts, public logs, and results right there on the website for you to check out. That's why they are respected, watched, and feared. That's Sharp Plays. Check them out now at sharpplays.com. Yeah, it's so interesting looking at Major League Baseball at this juncture here, Jensen, because, again, you're always with one eye towards the trade deadline in the futures market if you're going to jump in. So I think it's always smart to look at which teams you think might be buyers, which teams are going to be sellers. I'm hoping the Royals buy a little bit of a bat here because I am invested in them in the futures market. And Reds, it wouldn't kill you either if you need to go get somebody else. Cincinnati. Small markets, think bigger. It's not over. You can compete with the big boys if you put a little money in there. Paul Caponigri is going to join us next, talking all things Stanley Cup playoffs. That is next here on VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are down to the Final Four in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Always love catching up with Paul Caponigri. Joins us here in the Progressive Guest Line, Jensen. He can be followed on X, as we do at Cappy27. Does a great job for the Big Ten Network. Paul, we were just talking a little bit about Chicago. I know they're waiting for the Blackhawks to get back a little bit to their glory days of about a decade removed. What is this thing going on right now with, like, if you're American, are we rooting against the Canadian teams? Do we want them to continue to suffer without the opportunity to hoist the cup? And now with Toronto being knocked out, they're down to one again, and it's Edmonton.
Yeah.
Is this a real like North American thing where we in the States want to keep them away from their cup?
I guess, I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't see it that way. I think if you try to find some little thing to root for, there's 4 left. So many teams are out. So many, you're trying to find a team to root for. Maybe if you're American, you're like, oh, I'm going to root for one of the American teams. But I don't know. I mean, Edmonton, though, I thought they were going to be out. Just the way the season ended, I should have known better. But, man, and they're missing one of their best players, and Matthias Ekholm on defense. And it doesn't seem to be messing them up. And they're not winning by just Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're getting it up and down. So and then they got the guy in net. And you guys are going to talk about it, I'm sure, with Skinner. I mean, he's such a Jekyll and Hyde guy. Like, he looked incredible at the end of that series against Vegas. But in the past, we've seen it where all of a sudden he'll look like he can't stop the puck. So it's a tough one to go with Dallas, because Dallas got Jake Ottinger, who's so good.
And honestly, Paul, that's where I was going to follow up with you is this has kind of been my blind tail here on the puck line. And I'm already on the Stars at almost plus $2 there. And just knowing that it is such a stark contrast. Our great friend Jonathan Davis here at the network highlighting the games 1 through 3, and then all of a sudden he's Dominik Hasek from game 4 on. Any like players to target here? And I know obviously Mikko Rantanen is going to get most of the headlines here. Anyone else on the Stars that you look either points, goals, assists, someone, maybe a couple of guys we would look at that could also contribute here to a potential Stars game 1 win?
Yeah, I mean, I like Wyatt Johnston, the young right winger, just young, dynamic kid. Their coach says he's going to be the captain one day, which could be as soon as next year if Jamie Benn it doesn't come back as a free agent. But him, and then I think Miro Heiskanen, just because now he's had a couple games under his belt coming off the injury, I think he's going to maybe have his legs a little more, feel a little more confident. Look for him on the power play to be, Thomas Harley's been great. But I think Miro Heiskanen's the elite guy, and he's I think a guy that's going to step up for Dallas.
Before we go to the East, let's stay right there with Dallas and Edmonton tomorrow night with that game 1, because you do have Dallas as a small favorite to get that game 1 win, about $1.24 right now we're seeing here, Paul. But the series price is what's interesting to me. It's basically a pick 'em, minus $1.10 either way. So if Dallas has got home ice, and yet the series is minus $1.10, is that the better value play? And if you trust the goaltenders more, I know Skinner's been great later in series, as we talked about there. Is that the way to handicap this, that you'd look to the Stars in the series, even if we're not necessarily sure about game 1 and beyond?
Yeah, I think you got to lean that way just because Ottinger's the consistent guy. You kind of know what you're going to get from him. He's been really consistent. And the Skinner thing is just, he might not even, at some point in the series, he might not get a start. Like if Pickard, they might go to Pickard at some point. If you're for a safe bet, if you're and not a big gambler, you want the safe bet. It's Ottinger and Dallas. But I mean, how do you pick against McDavid and Draisaitl sometimes because they're so dominant? But if you're like I said, with that price, I like Dallas and Jake Ottinger and the home ice advantage over a 7-game series.
Yeah, Paul, it's going to be fascinating to watch it play out. Again, that one getting underway tomorrow night. Tonight, we do get game 1, Panthers and Hurricanes. Dave and I have been preaching it the last few weeks. Carolina continues to be the team remaining in this postseason that feels like they've gotten overlooked every which way. I personally on them tonight on the puck line plus 215. I do think their defense could maybe limit. I'm not going to say a fatigued Panther team, but playing 7 games, the intensity of the last couple of games, I think if you're going to look for an angle, game 1, a great opportunity to capitalize on Carolina, especially home ice, a little bit of extra rest. Size up game 1 for us and how you see the series playing out.
What's funny, I was thinking about this last night, and Carolina's had 4 days off, so it's not been like a huge break line. But, I was thinking like the Panthers now played every other day since last Wednesday, and now with this schedule, they're going to play every other day through this series. So You know, the reason I would maybe bark against that is because, you know, the experience that Florida has the last couple of years, like they've seen it all. They have extra guys. Like they switched out their whole, after the first 2 games in Toronto, they lost, though they changed their whole fourth line. Their whole fourth line scored the winning goal, or that had the go-ahead goal in Game 3, the game where if Toronto wins that game in overtime, we're looking at 3-0 and Florida might not be here. So they have the depth. I like in a first game, for me, I like Florida actually in this first game, kind of to keep the momentum going. And then where it gets scratchy for me is as the series goes on, they have the depth, but man, it is hard to go that long. And Carolina's a grind you out team. So you got 2 kind of grind you out teams. I like the under in first game 1. I think it's going to be like a 2-1 game tonight. Just because, you know, like you said, the feeling out process of the first game, and Florida can play that way. I like for you. I kind of went off of I didn't go on your bets, but I like the under in this first game just because I think it's going to be a low, tight checking one.
If you like Florida to be the reigning defendings and be 2-time champions, would you look at the bobber right now at 9-1 to win the Conn Smythe? Like that feels like a very playable number if you think Florida can get this done 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, right now they don't have they had 8 guys with 8 points. You know, like they spread out their scoring. I think the goaltender, obviously Bobrovsky, would be a guy for me for that title. If they were to win again, they've spread it out so well. And that's why I kind of still like the Florida Panthers, but Carolina's the same. People are talking about, is Freddie Anderson the second best goalie to Jake Ottinger in the playoffs? And people are like forgetting about Bobrovsky. I'm like, hello, the guy just, won the Stanley Cup and played great at the end to win it. It's funny how people do forget about that sometimes because of everyone else. So, I think with Florida, you got to like the goaltender just because everything else is so spread out.
Paul, last one from me, and always great getting your insights. As we look at just this Final Four in general, any chance we get one team just absolutely bludgeoning the other here, or is this your typical time of the year in the Stanley Cup playoff? You grind it out. We got the beards flowing. It's low scoring, and it's just that execution. Like any other angles potentially you're looking at for a couple of these early games?
Man, so it's funny. The famous story they're bringing up is when Carolina lost to Florida 2 years ago. They got swept 4-0, and head coach Rod Brindamore said, "We didn't get swept." And I mean, I get what he said. They got swept, but 2 overtime games. They were all really tight games. So, like, is someone going to get bludgeoned? No, but someone could get swept. 4-0 in really close games. That's just kind of the hockey way things are. So if I would, you could take a flyer on a 4-0 or 4-1. If you think Dallas, I just think the margins are so thin that if someone just looked at the newspaper and saw, Dallas sweeps Edmonton 4-0, they'd think, they blew them out. Whereas every game could have been so tight and there could have been 3 overtime games. I think that's how this could play out in terms of the tightness, especially Carolina. I like Carolina and Florida every game, 1-goal games, tight games. So that's the feel I have for that series.
About 30 seconds to go here, Paul. If Canada breaks the curse and Edmonton hoists the cup, right now, Edmonton is plus 265 to win it. But Connor is plus 350 to be the MVP. You don't even get $1 more on Connor McDavid. Is there any value in that? Or if they win it and Canada gets it done, it's going to be Connor McJesus?
Well, I mean, if you believe it, of course it's going to. I mean, he's been great, but he's not putting a leg last year. His numbers were insane, and he won it, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember now, but he was like the favorite. Yeah, he didn't even come out. He won it. So, I mean, if you believe in him, do it.
Yeah, he wins it. They don't win the cup last year, and yet this year they might win the Cup. Yeah, it's got to be Connor McDavid if they win the Cup. Paul, we appreciate it as always, my friend. Come on back. We're going to talk some pro football next year on VSiN By The Books.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. Great conversation with Paul Caponigri in the last segment, talking all things Stanley Cup. And again, it is fascinating to me, Jensen. Like, Canada wants it so badly. I love our conversations with Paul, with Jonathan Davis, Rachel Dory throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. I do get the feeling that it's Toronto or bust. It's almost like they shouldn't discount Edmonton, right? Like Edmonton and the great one, Wayne Gretzky, lifting all those cups all those years in Edmonton. Like, why does it always focus around Toronto? It's, again, the equivalent is the Yankees in Major League Baseball, the Cowboys in the NFL, that even when they're not relevant, they're relevant because they feel like those are the teams that we talk about. I don't know why. Maybe it's geographical. Maybe it's Edmonton is smaller out west and Toronto, it's always about Toronto. Do you feel like Edmonton kind of gets the short end of the Canadian stick here?
Oh, they might, yeah. And again, they can right all those wrongs, by taking care of business here. I do agree with our producer, Brandon Valesky, Stars fan in his own right, that Dallas has to take advantage
early.
And that's why I'm the numbers say what they do, but I cannot get past the goaltending. It was very much kind of the blind tail and fade of Connor Hellebuck in that Jet series. Was just when he's on the road, I mean, absolutely fade him left, right, center. When he's at home, go ahead and back the Jets. So we could see a similar thing play out here in the first 3 games with Stuart Skinner.
And before you make those wagers, make sure you check out the betting splits. When you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you have access to all of those splits. It's just $9.99 for your very first month, as little as that. So get started now at VSiN.com/subscribe. Again, it's not just Circuit Sports, it's also DraftKings, so you can get a really good cross-market idea of where the money and the bets are moving for every single game. So check it out now. $9.99 to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. Get access to those betting splits at VSiN.com/subscribe. Let's get back to the NFL, breaking down these schedules. We've been doing it all week and started last week. We'll continue till we get through every single team in the NFL in their win totals now that those schedules are out. And the numbers are up here on the board, talked about with Matt Humans. They're going to be up here all summer long here. So the time is now because these numbers will get hardened before we get to September. The Bears are a very interesting team in the NFC North. This time last year on the network, I was telling everybody that would listen, 8.5, it was juiced heavily to the over, $1.65 year one for Caleb Williams a year ago. And I was like, man, do not lay that kind of juice. The win total is the same this year. But now look at it. It's even money at 8.5. Look, I'm not telling you to run to the window and now bet the over on the Bears, but it's much more doable because now, no disrespect to Matt Eberflus a year ago, part of my handicap, Jensen, was I thought he was kind of dead man walking. Sure enough, it took till Thanksgiving, but he got fired. Now, you got Ben Johnson. He's all the rave. It's year 2 for Caleb Williams. When you look at the schedule, it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I like the team and I like the coaching situation much better than a year ago. And you're not weighing $1.65 juice if you're playing the over in Chicago. It's even money.
An ugly finish for them. Eagles, Packers, Browns, Packers, Niners, Lions. And who knows if Week 18 ends up being a win-and-in scenario for them, much in the same way we saw the NFC North play out just a year ago. Okay, so first and foremost, we put our Survivor hats on. What stands out? Early bye week for them, right? Week 5, and then coming off of that, you're at Washington for Monday Night Football.
Week 7.
An even longer stretch there. Week 7 would be the Saints. Now, Is that a letdown spot or even a look-ahead spot? Look at that sandwich right there. You're at Washington, home against the Saints, then you got to go to Baltimore, and then you got to go to Cincinnati. So a little trepidation there, if you will. I would look more so at the Giants
Week 10.
in Week 10. And I know that, it could be a look-ahead spot at Minnesota. Well, that's 4 road games in 6 weeks.
Well, they have to
but
get
the
that
travel isn't. The travel really isn't that bad. So keep that in mind here. Okay, to Baltimore, not a big deal. Going to Cincinnati, not a big deal. Minnesota, hop, skip, and a jump. Washington off the bye, you'll be rested up, ready to go. Intriguing spot on the win total, right? As you said, it almost feels like they've got to split first 2 weeks. You got to take advantage of Dallas at home, early on. And I mean, who knows what Ben Johnson has up his sleeve there. And then a tricky one going to Pete Carroll and the Raiders. Yeah. So we're going to find out a lot. If they're 2-2, not bad, 2-2 headed to the bye, going up against Washington, but they've got to find a way to at least get 2 wins in these first 4 weeks.
We could do the rest of the show on this schedule. This is how complex this really is, because I think you're right that the spots that you're looking at for Survivor would be Week 7 at home against the Saints, Week 10 at home against the Giants, and then I would look at Week 12 against the Steelers. That could be interesting as well. Also, and I talk about this a lot in the network, if you do like the over, right, you better hope that they get those in the early weeks, in the first 2 columns if you're watching at VSiN.com. Then, would that schedule get really daunting in the back end? If they've kind of got close to that total, come back for an adjusted win total under and find yourself a middle, if you can find it. Because it will get really tough down the stretch, Jensen, as you pointed out. Might be a way to attack it. Over early, maybe the underweight if you have the patience to get back in there, and they do what we expect them to do earlier in the season. What about the Commanders? Because they are the team now that everybody wants to bet. I get it. I would want to bet them too, but if you were kind of late to the window last year, I did like this team a year ago. Didn't know how good Jaden Daniels would be. Didn't know he'd be Rookie of the Year. He was plus 750 to win that award. He wins it relatively easily. Year number 2 now with he and DQ. Likes to wear his hat backwards, even though he's a head coach these days. Still one of the boys. What do you make of the Commanders in year 2? Because I wonder if they're a little bit overvalued right now when you look at the rest of the NFC East.
Yeah, and it's the pressure of expectation, right? That's what they're going to have to really deal with. It's the first time in a long time they have been expected to be here from the get-go. And so all of a sudden you look at a divisional game that looks winnable on paper, but you better win it, okay? Knowing that you're going to Green Bay in week 2, you have a Raider team that's still trying to figure things out. We would anticipate in week 3. So if you're 2-1 headed into a road game in Atlanta, which on paper you should win, then you got a real tough test going to LA to take on the Chargers. Home against the Bears. I mean, those first 6 weeks, you could envision a 4-2. You really could. If they're there, okay, then this is the stretch that probably defines their season, or at least gives them an opportunity to control their own destiny. If you win in Dallas, big-time division game, and then you win in Arrowhead, okay,
come on.
Now we're for real, because you get to come home, you get the Seahawks, you get the Lions on home turf, and then you take on a Miami team where it's not the super heat and humidity that late into the season.
Because normally in Survivor, you want to look at true home games. That's a road game, but it's in Spain against the Dolphins. Maybe if you've got some patience, you look there and wait and see if they can get that done on a neutral.
Right.
Not a bad way to go about it. I'll just say this about week 1 against the Giants. I'd be very cautious about laying the 7.5 in week number 1, because there's going to be a quarterback that we believe is going to be starting Let's Ride on the other side. And last year, Let's Ride took the Steelers into the DMV and beat the Commanders amidst their great season later in the year in October. So just saying, be a little bit nervy about week 1 and laying 7.5. I think the Giants might be a little bit better than people think, at least earlier rather than later. The Patriots, high expectations for the Patriots this year. I understand why. Mike Vrabel, it's going to be year 2 for your quarterback, year 1 for your head coach. Defense. They've upgraded in the offseason. They do feel like the clear second-best team already in the AFC East. But Jensen, with those expectations sometimes, your win total is now 8.5. That's pretty lofty for a team that only won 4 games. So if you want to cash that win total over, you got to go 5 games over that win total from a year ago. Are they good enough in one short off season to cash that ticket?
I don't want any part of it, but if they get there, it's because they handle those 3 home games in their first 4 weeks. That would be a huge step in the direction to get there, because the rest of their home slate is very manageable. Browns, Falcons, Jets, Giants, before you get to Buffalo at home, but that's off a bye. And then Miami at home, who knows what week 18 looks like for them. So, yeah, it's possible. And from a Survivor standpoint, boy, if you need to use them early and you want to kind of zigzag people, week 3 against Pittsburgh, depending on what the quarterback situation is, and week 4 against Carolina, because that way Vrabel will at least have those first handful of weeks from a defensive standpoint to get everything locked in.
Great point. Be cautious about that week 1 game against Pete Carroll and the Raiders before you just blindly back the Pats in that spot. I might try to wait till week 4 against Carolina. VSiN Pro, if you want to become a subscriber right now, you're going to get 14 months for just $199 by using the promo code PRO. So go to VSiN.com/subscribe. That's daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, VSiN Watch app access, and that NFL betting guide. It's all there for you. 2 extra months free. Use the promo code PRO and become a VSiN Pro subscriber. We're going to have Colby Marcio next here, VSiN by the Books.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.